Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 104 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Just kind of finalizing a few things in this nifty little room I'm building. So you can see here I've been setting up and doing a few things that need to be done for the smeltery and the villager thing. I also made it so that these three blocks that are currently made to look like cursed earth are the actual drawbridges. I thought that looked a little better than the design I had before where there was like an extra gap space and everything. This definitely looks better. Now the only other thing I'm having a problem with is when the villagers spawn, they tend to kind of like get stuck on the sides here. So if we were to, for example, flip on the spawner and make sure the attractor is running as well, and it's in pushing mode, so that's good. When these guys spawn, we'll see what the problem is. And in fact, let me close the door so that they don't get pushed. So sometimes they get pushed in, other times they'll get pushed to the side. Ugh. If only I could make that a little bit more efficient, I'd be way happier. So let's turn the spawner and attractor off. And what could I do to make these guys behave a little bit better? That's a good question. There we go. Alright, and this thing needs to be re-enabled because I have it currently turned off. But if I toggle this thing on by allowing this liquid to flow back in here. This is actually kind of my first test of the system since I set it up, but it looks like it's working. So, you know, we clearly have this stuff in here, and then they'll get turned into liquid emeralds that gets pulled out and sent into this thing. Nice. So we can see we've got a liquid emerald thing there. Pretty much the same setup I made before. Whitelist emerald here and blacklist emerald here so that the liquid keeps getting pulled out and cycled back in. Pretty awesome, right? The reason I had this disabled is because as I'm working in here, I don't want to accidentally fall in and take damage and all the other fun stuff that happens when you fall in there. Like might have just happened there. Yeah, a little bit. Cool. As long as it pulls out all of the liquid that's in there right now, I'm good. There we go. So when it pulls out in one tick, you can see it's empty, and that encourages, you know, the liquid emerald to be on the bottom. Nice. So I'm thinking I've got a couple fans. Why don't I try and set these up to try and help with the mob pushing problem? So let's put a fan here. That'll kind of push them from that side. And I'm thinking another fan over here just because that's like the best kind of layout. I might have to reorient some of this stuff because if I want the fan to be here, then I guess what else I'm going to need is, let's do this. If I can switch this guy to a green color, I can run this out like this. And down to here. That looks cool. And let's try, I'm for now going to have levers here, but eventually I'll hook it up to the red net cabling stuff that I've got. And there's a little caveat that I want to show you guys, and you'll see what I mean by that in just a minute. So let's see, are you guys running now and pushing me? Yeah, see I get pushed into there, and same from this side. Cool, so that should work. Alright, so let's set this up to be redstone controlled with the same control that turns on and off the attractor. Let me show you also the problem that I ran into. I ran into this in single player, and I have a solution to it as well that I came up with, but I want you guys to know about it. So back to bat mode. So ideally, you just need to apply a redstone signal to the block itself or an adjacent block to get these fans to run. But for whatever reason, I had trouble getting this working. So let's try this. I'm going to stick the thing here. I'm going to make sure it's in strong connection mode, and I'll make sure it's yellow so that this turns on at the same time that the attractor turns on. Whether it's in push or pull mode doesn't matter, because if it's pulling, the fans won't affect the things that are getting pulled at all, and if it's pushing, then it'll be what we want it to be and everything will work perfectly. So let's switch this guy to no connector, and I'm going to try this guy over here as well. Aha, you are going to be a nuisance. So let's get some computer craft cable moved around so that I can then it's the cleanest way to do this. I guess what I could do is long as this doesn't get in the way of anything, which I don't think it will. Run the cable here. Forced. Forced is important so that it transmits the redstone signal through, and I think that's going to help prevent the problem that I was running into. Cool. So let's get back inside there. And if this works, I'll be quite happy. So we should find that when the attractor is off, we're not getting pushed around, right? Flip on the attractor, and will we get pushed around? So yeah, we're not. So even with forced mode, the same thing's happening. The fans are not being affected by those redstone thingies. Curses. All right, so here's my workaround that I came up with. I played with this in single player a little bit. I thought that that would maybe help out. So let's grab a bit of this stuff. Back into bat mode. Not sure why you aren't working, but we'll flip a tractor back off for the moment. Okay, so now we want to interact with this thing. So let's pull these off. So the basic plan here now is we want to interact with this block. And we'll put him in forced connector mode. Yellow. And we can just run this over here. This is quickly becoming one of the more complicated builds I've done in a while. But in the end, it's, I think, going to be pretty cool. All right, let's just sneak back in here. And we'll flip the attractor on, and that should wind up. You see how it's pushing me now? Yeah, that's good stuff. So not sure exactly why that connector piece doesn't want to work, but there's your workaround. Throw a piece of red alloy wire in, you're good to go. So let's do the same over here. You can see I'm kind of prepared for this because I knew I was going to have that problem. Or at least I suspected. There we go. And that should be good. And the good news is that these fans, contrary to common sense, work through solid blocks. So even though I've got blocks set up here, and everything will look nice from the inside perspective, when we do put the attractor on, we'll see that we're being pushed around a bit. Cool. So hopefully, with the doors closed now, that will be enough with the spawner on to get these guys to do what I want them to do. Go, villagers, go. Still, by the way, did not find a solution to that piece of grass being back there, the cover on top of the conduit, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, let me keep an eye on this for a few minutes, and then we'll be back, and I think I want to start working on something new. So yeah, guys, this definitely seems to be working. I just watched a couple mobs get stuck on the sides there and then get pushed in, just like it worked back at the main base, you know, so really no big difference there. So overall, we've got pretty much everything up and running again. The only other connector I want to do near it, let's turn off the mob spawner, go into mob selector. We're going to choose skeleton, and we're going to set exact to yes. And that should be what we want. Now we want to, if we close the drawbridge here and we turn on the spawner, what we should wind up getting is some wither skeletons. Cool. And this is the last thing to test. You can see I threw the autonomous activator back there. So right now it's in pushing mode. I just switch it to pulling mode, and those guys will get pulled in. You'll probably also want to turn off the grinders when this is occurring so that you make sure they die as a result of the decapitation tool that's inside the autonomous activator back there. Pretty neat, right? So make sure it's in pulling mode, make sure the grinders are off, and make sure the attractor is on. Let's turn off the spawner for a minute and check it out. If we come back here, we should see this guy's in there, and we should hopefully have, all right, no skulls yet, but I mean, we only killed a handful. All I need to do now is make sure this vacuum hopper is set up. So let me make sure I've got another import bus. Just one's good. And we'll sneak back here and find this guy. It should be, boy, oh boy, probably more complicated than you would think to find. Ah, this is the water from my... Cool. Fun times. Let's see. Really want to get into there. Let's find a good way to connect into that thing. This might kind of do... Might have to do a cover. If I break this canvas block, what am I losing? Well, yeah, I'll probably have to do a cover here. So let's get that import bus, or a facade. And facades. That I can do no problem. So we'll import bus into this guy. And just run this cable straight out here, and I have to connect into the yellow piece. So what I should be able to do is just connect directly into this thing. And that might clear out. I might need to set the export side. We'll see. Yeah, I think I have to set the export side of the vacuum hopper. So make sure this guy is set up to output that side, and now the hopper should clear out. There we go. One item at a time. If that ever becomes too much of a problem, I can just switch it up into stacks at a time deal. Cool. And then facades. 1, 2. Beautiful, huh? Look at that. I'm liking it. Don't think the vacuum hopper has a small bounding box. That's fine. That's a good setup. I like it. Cool? All right. So now any wither skeleton skulls that we get can go in here. So right now we've got 14. I'm actually going to turn the spawner on, and I'm going to close the door and let that thing run. There is no on-off switch for that decapitator thing back there. I don't think it's necessary. If we ever wanted to add one, it would be pretty easy. I just, at this point, don't have room on my monitor. I'd have to switch and move around all my buttons. So I just don't really think it's needed. So 15 wither skeleton skulls. Perfect. Nice. So instead of letting the spawner run, I'm going to turn off the attractor, I'm going to turn off the lights, I'm going to turn on the grinder. So now that we get these mobs running, and they will die as a result of the grinders. Nice. And I'll be able to get some mob essence. I'll let that run for a little bit, and we'll be back. So let's run into our Alveary room and take a look at our diamond shards. Nice. We've got a decent amount of diamonds from these guys, but I kind of feel like we could do better. It's been running for a little bit of time, but I definitely want to kick it up a notch and come up with even more diamonds. And the best approach for doing that is to build an Alveary. Let's take a look. The Alveary, if we take a look, there's multiple blocks that can go into an Alveary, and they can do all kinds of cool stuff. Alvearies are kind of like the best of the best when it comes to bee housing quarters. However, it is a multi-block and takes up a good 3x3 chunk of space. So let's clear out an area here for where we might want our Alveary to live. I don't know if I want it up against the wall. I guess up against the wall is fine. Maybe a space out. We'll figure it out. You know what? I didn't clean up my inventory from when I was doing all this work. So let's do that real quick. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's look at the Alveary. I'm going to need, let's see, a 3x3x3 of Alveary blocks to get started. So we'll see here that Alveary blocks are 8 scented paneling around an impregnated casing. Now, we already know how to make the impregnated casings. That's not a problem. We might even have a few of them in here. Yeah, we've already got like 8 of them, so I just need a couple more. So all I need is a stack of wood, which I've got plenty of. I'll go through 2 stacks in there, can't hurt. And then what we need is, this is the tough part now for the Alveary. This is the part that really requires a lot of work. This is scented paneling. Now, it goes into a carpenter. It needs honey, it needs royal jelly, and it needs pollen, and 2 beeswax. Now, luckily, we're already getting all that stuff, because it's the thing I kind of prioritized getting. Pollen, royal jelly, plenty of beeswax, not a problem. Now, what the Alveary is going to do for us is greatly increase the speed at which items are produced. And we can even throw a few frames in there to even speed it up more. And pretty much, we should be able to get tons of diamonds as a result. But let's take a look at how we can manage that first. What I want is probably, let's see, let's do some quick math. If we want an Alveary, we're going to want 8 times 27. which is about 216 pieces of the scented paneling stuff. So that's a little bit more than 3 stacks. So let's get like 3.5 stacks. 2, 3.5 stacks of you. And I'll also get 1, 2, 3.5 stacks of you. And then I'm going to need 7 stacks of beeswax. Cool. And we're going to want to make sure we've got some good amount of honey getting squeezed. So where's our squeezer? There it is. And we'll snag the propolis out of here. A few more pieces of honey. Cool. Looking good. So we'll let that stuff run for now, and I'll get the recipe set up in the honey-based carpenter that I have here. So it's not too different from this, actually. I think it was royal jelly on top. Okay, so royal jelly on top, pollen on the bottom, beeswax on either side, and then just any kind of wood should do. Cool. So that looks good to me. Alright, so by default, we're not going to have enough inventory space for all these to get produced, but not to worry. I'm going to go ahead and throw some into an item hopper just to make things a little bit easier on myself. I don't even know if that's enough wood. I didn't even count, like, I guess 3 times 3, we need like 9 stacks. So I've got 2, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's not too bad. Almost 7. I guess I could throw another hopper on there if I really wanted to. The only thing I'm not doing is collecting the scented paneling, so I'll have to manually remove that. I might automate this further in the future, but I don't really know if I need to, per se. And let me just get a few more wood planks. 1, 2... I'll get that many. That should be all I could potentially need for this process. And of course, as we have more space in here, it'll clear out because we're using up pollen and beeswax. So this is going to take a little bit to produce all this. So I'll come back in about 5 or 10 minutes once this is finished, and we'll get to work putting together the alveary. All right, see you guys then. All right, guys, we're back. And while I'm waiting for this stuff to cook up and get me some scented paneling, you can see I got my first stack already. I just found into a problem. Oh boy, let's put this away because I got to do a little bit of fixing some stuff. Have you noticed my tree farm didn't get cut down at all recently? I think I'm trying to figure out what happened, but I think what happened is my cart, which is an entity, might have got struck by lightning. That's a guess. I'm not sure. But the cart is gone. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it is. I can only assume it was struck by lightning. Like, I don't know. It's just not there. So I'm thinking we don't want to use an entity to harvest our wood anymore. So obviously we've got a lot of options. I could go golems, but those are also entities, so I'm going to probably pass on those. What I'm thinking is just straight up MFR. Yeah, Mine Factory Reloaded Tree Farm. That should probably be a nice, simple solution to our problem. So we're going to want a harvester. Oh, good, I have one already. And we're going to want a planter. Oh, good, I have one already. Nice. Let's get some redstone energy cells, because I'm going to need that. We're going to want some item ducts. Cool. And yeah, let's set this up like real fast because I don't want to spend like a ton of time working on this, but at the same time, we need our tree farm to continue running because if it stops running, that's a problem for us. So right about, what's a nice center point? Here-ish? Does that sound good? I don't know exactly the length of this area, but actually it goes up to here. So that might not even be center-ish. I'm thinking center might be here. Let me go get another tape measure because I ran out of that thing at one point and I want more. Oh good, there it is. I do have one. So how wide is this? If I went from here all the way over to what's going to be here, that is 18. Okay, so a nice middle point would be somewhere around 9-ish. So if we went to like here, that's probably roughly the middle. So I was pretty close. I mean, it's either this one or that one, right? Because it's an even number. So let's go ahead and throw our planter, no, our harvester here. And I always forget, some blocks, yeah, There we go. Shear leaves, no. I don't want the leaves. I don't want to worry about shrooms. Let's get some upgrades going. So, radius increase of 6 with silver. I can try that and see what that gives us. Remember, if you have your sledgehammer in your hand, it'll show you the radius of the area. So let's get our precision sledgehammer for this purpose. And we can go ahead and toss this in here, and then boom, we can see what the radius is. So definitely want to bump this out at least 2 more than it currently is. So we don't want an upgrade that gives us 6, we want an upgrade that gives us 8. So that would be quartz upgrade. 1, 2 of these. If we run over here, pull this out, pop this in, and bring out this thing, now we're talking, see? So that gives us a little bit wider area, and that'll definitely cover all the tree farm. Nice. So what I can do then is, secondly, we want to have a nice center point. So let's measure out the center point lengthwise, and that'll be from here to here is 16 meters. So that's probably like right about here-ish, 8. That's about center. So what I'll do then, let's see, this is -4. So we'll do about 8 from here. Is that about this? Or is this 7? So here's probably about where we want to place our planter. And we can test this piece of it. So we want it to be, I believe it's 1 below where the actual planting is going to occur, right? So if we put this here, cool, and then we can put our radius increase of 8 and check our precision sledgehammer. Let's go ahead and pull this thing off of here, just so we can see for sure this should be good. So he will be reaching out to there, beyond that is good. That looks like a pretty good area, right? Yeah, I think so. So we can put our quartz back in here, and we should be good. Now, the only other thing we're going to want to do is the following. Let's say we want some saplings. And I'm going to say consume stack off, make sure this thing is pretty much ready to go with all the saplings that we could need in there. Run some power, run some item ducts, and the main thing to worry about is getting the items in here. So let's set the item ducts up so that items come out of the harvester and straight down into here. Cool. And that will only allow saplings to come down there, obviously, because there's only room for saplings in there. Now, what we also want to have is, let's make this an interface instead of an import bus. Or we can just throw an interface here for now. Craft one real quick. Hopefully real quick. So we can just stick this guy right here. He should connect in. So now any items that go into the interface wind up in the AE system, right? Perfect. And we'll just run some of this stuff over to here. And all we'll specify is that this should be the last place that it goes. So dense mode, meaning this is the last route. Try and make your way over to the planter first, and if you fail, then go ahead and fall back and wind up, you know, going right into there. Next up, we need power. So do we have any power really nearby? Not necessarily. So let's see, do I want to run some stuff over here, or do I want to get another P2P? I want to hold off on the P2P thing because it's not, well, let's see. I'll be right back. Alright, why not? We'll just do it here real quick. So we'll run this straight over like that. You can go there, There it is. And then let's just toss the energy transfer node in like that. And this thing should start cruising, if I'm correct. Maybe. Let's get this guy and make sure he's programmed correctly. Saved, and hopefully I've got power down there. There we go. We're getting RF. Nice. So this thing should be getting charged up. He's ready to run. This guy should be running as well. Good. You can see some saplings already got planted. That's a good sign. Indicates that things are working correctly. And I might even do this. Let's turn this off for just a minute with a lever so that I can clear it out, and then I'll get rid of all the train tracks because we don't need that anymore either. So if I just give this guy a redstone signal, he won't plant anymore, and then in a few minutes we'll come back and we'll wind up with like a really well harvested area. Cool. So you're pretty much ready to go. Just want to make sure you actually start running. You're idle. Why are you idle? Is there a redstone signal here I'm not seeing? Oh, you know what it probably is? I bet he tried to harvest. Let's do this. Now we're talking. Items are allowed to come through now. Cool. So give this a few minutes and then we'll come back and get rid of the tracks, turn off the redstone signal, and then we'll be in good shape. For now, let's check on these guys. Still more to go. We'll come back when this is done. Alright, so this looks nice and tidy, right? If we came over to here, check this guy out. He should have a lot more saplings than he had earlier, which he does. And we can turn you back on. Cool. And now he should start planting the saplings for us. Beautiful. Still not 100% sure if these things are actually helping with the sapling growth. I never really checked into that, but they can't hurt. Alright guys, since we're getting pretty close to wrapping up the episode here, I'm going to quickly get set up to show you how this is going to work. So first things first, let's get our Alveary blocks. And then next episode we'll come back and just do a little bit to talk more about how they work. Actually, I'm going to need a few more of the impregnated casings, aren't I? Let's get some wood. Well, they had more of those laying around. But, oh well. So, I'll just get started with the basics here. We're also going to need some wooden slabs. So let's get some regular old wooden planks. Or do we have any slabs laying around? Ah, good, I do. That's cool. So, real quick, this is easy to set up. 3 by 3. And almost there. There we go. Alveary blocks, just a few more. These are pretty expensive, I'm not going to lie, but they're going to really increase our output and allow us to do some cool stuff. Now, like I said, basic Alveary setup is just like that. So the 3 by 3 of Alveary blocks, followed by wooden slabs at the top there. Give it a few seconds and you'll notice that it'll reform up and act and look just like an apiary. All we got to do now is move our lovely little Diamante Queen here, right in here. Now, just with this configuration, she's going to be producing more diamonds and more of all her products faster than she would have been even with frames in the other machine and setup. So this is obviously a huge increase and improvement over what we had already. Now, by default with just regular old forestry, this is pretty much the most we can do. You'll notice that there's also a couple other Alveary blocks. So with forestry, you can get a fan to cool things off, or a heater to heat them up. So, if you didn't happen to get good luck with breeding, you could use them to make them more tolerant of their surroundings. And you can also get a hygroregulator. I think that affects like the humidity and stuff inside the Alveary. But with extra bees from Binny's mod, we get Alveary lighting, which lets them run during the nighttime. Well, not a problem for us because it's an eternal day age. You can also get the stabilizer and sieve those things go in there. They're from forestry as well. The stabilizer, I think, makes it unlikely for any mutations to happen at all. And the sieve, I believe, causes extra princesses to come out. So a couple things you can do with that. Now, what we can also get here, if we take a look, you'll notice there's a frame housing from Binny's Core. So if we take a look at just the mod, Binny's mod, there we go. There's several things. You can get a mutator, which significantly can improve the mutation chance of your bees. Frame housing, which allows you to put frames inside Alvearys. And then rain shield and lighting, and an electrical stimulator. Not entirely sure what that one does. That's new to me. I'm going to have to go look that up between this episode and next. But for now, let's go ahead and automate this good old fun toy that we've got here. So there you are, sir. And we can go ahead and install our apiary refiller module. Nice. Throw down a couple of you guys, and we should start pulling the diamond shards out of here and getting the diamond queen recyclated as well, and nice. So for now, I think what we'll do is wrap up the episode. I'll come back next time and look into making this alveary even more efficient. And once we've got that done, we should be really cruising on the diamond production. We've done pretty well so far as things stand as they are right now, but wait until you see what we can do with some fun stuff down the line. All right, guys, for now, Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next time, like I said, a little bit with the frames and the alvearies, and then we'll probably start moving on to some other projects as well that I want to get working on pretty soon. All right, guys, take it easy.